Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. In the program, it mentions, also in the record recently, it was mentioned that I'm the chair of the Pedestrian Charter Steering Committee. And maybe one day in my dreams, I'll take on such an esteemed post. But in the meantime, I'm just sort of an emissary, you could say, although it's a small committee, so we all sort of work hard. So I'm here representing the Pedestrian Charter Steering Committee, and I'm going to be talking about walkability in Waterloo Region. And I'll just say a little bit about the Pedestrian Charter Steering Committee. So the PCSC, I guess I can call it, is a citizens group that meets for 2 hours once a month. And in addition to our meetings, of course, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. We encourage and monitor the implementation of the Pedestrian Charter, a document called the Pedestrian Charter, in the local municipalities in Waterloo Region. So we review, for example, regional and municipal policies, like the regional official plan. We comment on it. We advocate for pedestrians in the media, maybe in the newspaper, on television. And we try and make public presentations to municipal councillors and relevant planners and so on. And the Pedestrian Charter itself, I have a copy of it here, and the website will be at the end of the presentation, is a set of principles about the value of walking. And as has sort of been emphasized in a few of the presentations already, walking in a way is sort of the backbone of transport and mobility in any communities, or in any community, and it's about moving people. And so this document that is known as the Pedestrian Charter was adopted by the three major cities in the region, Cambridge, Kitchener, and Waterloo, as well as the region itself. And it's also a document I really want to emphasize that the community and sort of all members of the community, and not only us present, but it's a document that can really be used because people sort of, the cities and the region itself has pledged sort of support for this document that has all these principles sort of laid out in it. And so when new policy and new planning and new infrastructure is going in, this document can sort of be pointed to by anyone, not just the Pedestrian Charter Steering Committee. It's sort of, it would be great to democratize it and sort of for people to be familiar with this document. So why have a pedestrian charter? Well, as has been alluded to, walking is efficient, affordable, sustainable, and frankly, it should be, and often is, pleasurable. I want to emphasize also that walking can be an economic engine. Walking, for one thing, is socially just. It's accessible to almost everyone, unlike private car ownership. And walkable communities contribute to local investment, local businesses, as has been alluded to already. And frankly, in sort of our era of ongoing economic depression and imminently probably exploding gas prices, there's a security element to a lot of what's being discussed today. Sustainable transport and walkable cities, when things get sort of bad, those are the places that are going to be able to sort of pull together and survive extreme hardships, which often in a way sort of get overlooked. Walkable cities are cities where people want to live, work, and play, and where people want to travel to, move to. And of course, walkable cities promote healthy minds. Walking is, for eons has, been a lovely way to sort of clear your head. And of course, walking promotes healthy bodies. Walkable cities also generate safe streets. You have eyes on the street, people in the street. And of course, community building. Face-to-face contact, there's nothing, more community building than that. And it goes without saying, of course, that walking is environmentally excellent. And moreover, walkable communities are communities that recognize that automobile dependency is unsustainable, antisocial, frankly, unhealthy, anti-environmental, excessively expensive, especially since healthcare costs related to cars, car accident costs, infrastructure costs are borne by everyone, by all individuals, and also by the society and the natural environment. All sort of together have to, carry this burden of car dependence. as a fellow named Professor Shoup, who recently authored a book that was just featured in the New York Times entitled The High Cost of Free Parking, puts it, he says, who pays for free parking? Everyone but the motorist. And as was sort of alluded to in the earlier conversation about transit and so on, a lot of sort of car use and sort of the comfort and the encouragement of car use is often a result of legislation. Just over here at the Tannery building, it's legislated number of parking spots has produced a situation where some heritage buildings have been taken down. Okay, back to the first slide. Okay, maybe well, okay, whatever, you decide. Okay, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about three set of case studies. One is New York City, one is Lyon, one is Copenhagen. And there we have Jane Jacobs, a quote by her. So I guess you've already seen some of these, so we'll keep going. And so yeah, there's more to walking than just walking, of course, as we all know. Okay? What is walkability? I guess I've sort of covered some of that, talked a little bit about the regional pedestrian charter. Go ahead. So yeah, creating walkable cities, of course, is catching on. It's sort of, faddish these days, and it's frankly a good fad and hopefully a sustainable fad. And of course, Waterloo Region is growing like crazy, and it's competing on a world stage, trying to attract investment and educated individuals. And walkable communities are those types of communities. This summer, I was in Amsterdam and Paris, sort of, fairly walkable, well known for walkability, well known for tourism, well known for sort of just relax. Can you go back? Sorry. Okay, so as citizens, we of course have the opportunity to influence how it is that our cities develop by sort of engaging, by taking advantage of regional policies, by taking advantage of documents like the Pedestrian Charter, and by sort of fighting for walkable stuff. Okay, go ahead. So there's a lot of myths that stop walkability in its tracks. Some of the myths, especially when we're thinking of European cities, those sort of those excellent examples of walkability that we come across. And some of those myths include thinking that those cities were always that way, that it's just sort of an inevitable outgrowth of how it is that they naturally evolved. It's also a myth that pedestrian-friendly means anti-car. One of the earlier presentations on transport was talking a lot about I'll point, sort of like, no, go back, yeah, I'll give you a clear point. It was alluded to earlier that that vibrant cities have a mix of transport modes. Just purely sort of walking, maybe that, Sparks Street in Ottawa, for example, is not the most lively place. Often the most exciting sort of urban areas have mixed transport, sort of, calmed traffic, wide sidewalks. It's sort of, there's an energy and dynamism and sort of a synergy that is produced there. So pedestrian friendly does not necessarily mean anti-car. And of course, as I've suggested already, it does not mean bad for the economy. And often you'll hear that, we don't need to build bike lanes, or we don't need to build transit, or we don't need to build more walkable communities because people aren't walking. And it's sort of, pretty common sense that when you don't have bike lanes and you don't have walkable communities and you don't have transit, people are quite unlikely to use those things that don't exist. Okay, thank you. So, first steps are to believe that creating a walkable Waterloo region is possible, to understand that not all regions, as I'll demonstrate in some pictures, started that way, and to recognize that each pedestrian-friendly city faced its own challenges and discovered its own potential. So there's no one-size-fits-all sort of way of doing this. Thanks. Okay, we've talked about the why is walkable important. Go ahead. Next. Thanks. And so what makes a community walkable? Again, as has been alluded to in the heritage presentation, we have access to amenities, things to walk to, safety, density. Of course, aesthetics plays an enormous role in this. People are not going to want to sort of bother walking if it's not pleasurable. And more often than not, people walking in our community or in our neighborhoods often is sort of a recreational rather than a sort of transportation activity. And when people engage in that type of activity, they're very much out there sort of wanting to experience a lovely aesthetic environment. And of course, walkable cities prioritize connectivity. And we saw that again with the presentation on heritage, where the contemporary neighborhoods with their dead ends and little sort of cul-de-sacs don't promote the type of connectivity that makes walking possible. Okay.